You put your baby down for tummy time. They fuss. You count the seconds. Every parent hears tummy time is important, but almost no one tells you how much, how often, or what actually matters. But what if a few tiny daily tweaks could quietly boost your baby's motor development without drills, pressure, or crying battles? Stay with me, because this pediatric research might change how you do tummy time starting today. In 2019, researchers published a large study in Pediatrics, the Journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics. They followed more than 4,000 infants across different countries and family routines to understand how daily movement affected motor development. Parents reported how often their babies did tummy time while awake, and clinicians measured motor skills like head control, rolling, and early balance. This wasn't a lab setup or a perfect routine. It reflected real life, short attempts, missed days, and busy schedules. Across all that variation, one pattern was consistent. Babies who experienced tummy time more frequently during the day showed stronger overall motor development. Not babies who lasted the longest, not babies who were pushed through discomfort. Frequency mattered more than duration. And that single finding quietly changes how tummy time works and how parents should think about it. Tactic 1. Consistency over duration. Tummy time usually starts the same way. You put your baby down, they lift their head for a moment. Then the fussing starts. In that moment, most parents feel stuck. You want to help your baby grow stronger, but you don't want to ignore crying or turn this into something stressful. So you stop after 30 seconds and wonder if that was even worth doing. A lot of advice makes it sound like tummy time only works if it lasts long enough, that short attempts don't really count, that you're supposed to push through until your baby adjusts. But what this research quietly shows is that development doesn't work that way. The babies who showed stronger motor skills weren't the ones who stayed down the longest in one stretch. They were the ones who experienced tummy time more often across the day. That changes how tummy time fits into real life. Instead of aiming for one long session, it becomes something you return to again and again. A short moment after a diaper change, another minute before a feed, a quick try after a nap. These moments feel easier for your baby. They don't hit their limit as fast. And without realizing it, you're giving them far more chances to practice lifting, pushing, and stabilizing. Parents often notice that fussing decreases over time, not because their baby was forced to endure it, but because the experience feels familiar and manageable. This lines up directly with the study's findings. Total daily exposure to tummy time was linked to stronger motor development, even when individual sessions were brief. Once the pressure to make it last disappears, tummy time stops feeling like a test. It becomes something you can gently build into your day. But frequency alone doesn't solve everything. Because even when tummy time happens often, babies still need a reason to stay engaged. And that's where the next shift comes in. Tactic 2. Make tummy time social. A lot of tummy time looks quiet. Your baby is on the floor, you're nearby, watching, maybe cheering them on from above. But from your baby's point of view, there isn't much happening. They aren't thinking about neck strength or posture. They're wired to look for faces, for voices, for movement that pulls their attention. When tummy time feels boring or isolating, babies tend to conserve energy. They rest their head, they fuss sooner, they disengage. What often changes everything is something very simple. You get down on the floor with them, at eye level, face to face. You talk, you smile, you move your face slowly from side to side. Suddenly, tummy time isn't just being placed on the floor. It becomes an interaction. Your baby lifts their head to see you. They turn to follow your movement. They stay up a little longer without realizing it. Parents are often surprised by this. They didn't change the position, they didn't extend the session on purpose, they just changed the experience. And that matters. The research behind tummy time shows that its benefits come from active use of postural muscles while babies are awake. Babies are more likely to lift, push, and stabilize when they're engaged with something meaningful. Connection creates effort. Effort builds strength. This also explains why some babies tolerate tummy time better with people than with toys. A face responds, a face moves, a face feels familiar. Over time, these small social moments add up. Your baby practices lifting and turning more often. Their endurance builds naturally. And tummy time feels less like something to endure and more like something shared. But even with engagement, many parents still feel boxed in by the idea that tummy time has to look a certain way. Flat floor, perfect setup, exact position. The study suggests that flexibility matters more than perfection. And that leads us to the next shift. Tactic 3. Gravity counts anywhere. Some days, tummy time just doesn't fit the picture you have in your head. The mat isn't out. The floor isn't clear. You're already holding your baby because that's what works in that moment. For a lot of parents, that creates doubt. If tummy time doesn't happen flat on the floor, it feels like it doesn't really count. But babies don't know what a playmat is. What their bodies respond to is gravity. Anytime your baby is awake and has to lift their head, push through their arms, or steady their body, those same muscles are working. That's why chest-to-chest tummy time matters. You lean back slightly, your baby rests on your chest. They lift their head to look at you. They push up, even just a little. The neck is working, the shoulders are working, the core is engaged. For many babies, this position feels safer. They're close to you, they can see your face. They often stay there longer without fussing. Parents are sometimes surprised by how much effort their baby puts in during these moments. It doesn't look like exercise, but the work is happening. This fits with how the study defined tummy time. Researchers counted awake positions where babies worked against gravity, not just time spent on the floor in a specific pose. So when tummy time happens on your chest or across your lap, it still contributes to development. It still builds strength. It still adds practice. That flexibility matters because it makes tummy time easier to repeat. You don't have to wait for the perfect setup. You don't have to stop what you're doing entirely. You can fit movement into real life. And when movement shows up more often, babies benefit. But there's another piece that affects how well babies tolerate all of this. It has less to do with position and more to do with timing. Tactic 4. Start before it feels easy. Many parents wait to really lean into tummy time. They wait until their baby feels stronger, until the fussing seems lighter, until it looks like their baby can handle it. Waiting makes sense. No one wants to push their baby before they're ready. But what often happens is the opposite. The longer tummy time is delayed, the harder it feels when it finally becomes unavoidable. The study showed that babies who started tummy time earlier and experienced it more consistently had stronger overall motor development later on. Not because they were pushed, but because their bodies adjusted gradually. Early on, the expectations are tiny. A few seconds, a brief lift, a small effort. Those small efforts, repeated over time, prepare the muscles and the nervous system for bigger movements later. Head control builds slowly. Stability improves bit by bit. Confidence grows without anyone forcing it. Parents often notice that when tummy time starts early, it doesn't feel like a hurdle. It's just part of the day, like diaper changes or feeds. And because it's familiar, babies are less likely to resist it later on. This doesn't mean pushing milestones. It doesn't mean expecting rolling or crawling early. It means giving your baby gentle exposure while their body is still adapting to gravity. The study didn't show sudden leaps. It showed smoother progress. That's an important distinction. Development isn't a race. It's a process of layering small experiences on top of each other. When tummy time is introduced early, each new skill has something to build on. Instead of feeling overwhelming, movement feels expected. But even when parents start early and stay consistent, there's a daily habit that can quietly undo a lot of that effort. It's something almost every parent uses, and it changes how much movement babies get without anyone noticing. Tactic 5. Balance containers with movement. Modern parenting comes with a lot of helpful tools. Swings, bouncers, seats, carriers. They make daily life manageable. They give your arms a break. They help babies settle. The problem isn't that these tools exist, it's how quietly they replace movement. When a baby spends much of their awake time supported, their body doesn't get many chances to push, lift, or shift weight on its own. Everything is held in place for them. Parents don't notice this happening. A few minutes here, another stretch there, and suddenly most of the day passes without much free movement. What's interesting is that the researchers accounted for sleep position in their analysis. Even after controlling for how babies slept, tummy time during awake periods still predicted better motor development. That tells us something important. It isn't just about avoiding time on the back. It's about creating opportunities to move while awake. The goal isn't to remove containers entirely. They serve a purpose. The shift is to balance them. If your baby spends time in a bouncer, follow it with a short tummy time moment. If they've been in a carrier for a while, offer floor play next. These transitions don't need to be long, they just need to happen. Parents who make this adjustment often notice that movement becomes more evenly spread throughout the day. Instead of one dedicated tummy time session, it shows up in small pockets. That matters because movement works best when it's repeated, not when it's saved for one moment. This pattern lines up with the study's findings. Babies who had more frequent chances to move against gravity showed stronger motor development overall. And once movement becomes part of the rhythm of the day, something else starts to change. Parents stop seeing tummy time as a task. It starts to feel like a natural response to too much stillness. That shift makes consistency easier to maintain. But there's one more layer that often goes unnoticed. It has less to do with muscles and more to do with how the brain is learning through movement. Tactic 6. Movement shapes the brain. It's easy to think of tummy time as a physical task. Neck strength, arm strength, core muscles. Important, yes, but incomplete. When babies move, their brains are learning where their bodies are in space, how to shift weight, how to balance, how to coordinate effort with intention. Those lessons don't come from being held still. They come from trying, adjusting, and trying again. The study didn't just link tummy time to one milestone. It linked it to broader motor competence, the kind that supports rolling, sitting, crawling, and later movement. That matters because development isn't a checklist. Skills build on each other. When a baby practices lifting their head, they're also practicing balance. When they push through their arms, they're learning how effort changes their position. Each small movement feeds the next. Parents who reframe tummy time this way often notice a change in themselves. They stop watching the clock. They stop measuring success by how long their baby stays down. Instead, they watch how their baby moves, how they adjust, how they recover when they tip or wobble. That mindset shift makes consistency easier. It feels meaningful instead of mechanical. This connects directly to what the researchers observed. Babies who experienced tummy time more often didn't just show stronger muscles, they showed better overall motor development. That suggests the brain is learning through movement, not just reacting to it. When parents see tummy time as brain building, they're more likely to return to it, more likely to stay patient, more likely to notice progress in small moments. But even with the right mindset, there's one final pressure that trips many parents up. It's not about technique, it's not about timing, it's about perfection. Tactic 7. Most days is enough. There's a quiet pressure that follows a lot of parents through tummy time. The idea that missing a day matters, that skipping it means falling behind, that development depends on doing everything right. Real life doesn't work that way. Some days your baby is tired. Some days you're tired. Some days the routine just falls apart. When that happens, many parents feel guilty, or they try to make up for it by pushing harder the next day. But that's not how the study looked at development. The researchers didn't track perfect streaks. They looked at patterns over time. Babies who experienced tummy time most days showed stronger motor development. Not babies whose parents never missed. Not babies whose routines were rigid. What mattered was repetition across weeks and months. That's an important distinction. Development isn't built in single moments. It's built through exposure that adds up slowly. When parents aim for most days, something changes. Pressure drops, consistency improves, and tummy time becomes easier to return to. Instead of feeling like a test you can fail, it becomes part of the background of daily life. A short moment today, another tomorrow, then again later in the week. Over time, those moments stack. This is why the study's findings are so reassuring. They don't demand perfection. They support persistence. Here's the big picture. Tummy time works best when it's frequent, brief, engaging, and flexible enough to fit real life. Tonight, try one small moment, 30 seconds on the floor, or chest to chest while you lean back. Stay close, stay calm. If this helped, like and subscribe. And tell me in the comments, what does tummy time look like in your home right now?